Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow.
One of my theories of change and why we started Purple Maiʻa 10 years ago was purple is the rarest color in nature. It's hard chemically to produce it. So you have to really want to be purple for nature to produce it. So it's hard to see, but it's everywhere if you look for it. And so that sort of is the mantra for kids, like seeing the purpleness in them. Like it's there, even though it's hard.
So what would the purple represent for these kids?
It's whatever is real about them. Like, for example,
Their authenticity?
Yeah, like one good example of that is I went to Maui. So we have a class in Maui where every kid in the class is kicked out of the DOE. So they're no longer truants because they're not part of the DOE. So there's this institute that allows them to keep learning.
How many were there?
Like 45 in the school. And so I mentor this 8th grade Hawaiian girl. She wants to learn how to build video games. So I fly to Maui. And so my first question was a dumb question. It was like, do you have a computer at home? And she was like, oh, uncle, I live on a beach. Like, I don't have electricity at home. Like, really a terrible question. But she then goes on to build 2 video games. Like, she comes early because she doesn't have a computer at home and learns. And the thing with her is, like, you can still learn so much from these kids. Like, for example, when you watch remotely, we were using this Stanford model, the flip model. You watch the video in your time, and then the kumu just works with you through the problems. It's much more effective. So watching her scores, like she takes these quizzes and just like jamming, and then it drops to nothing. And it's just flatlining. And then comes up and then jamming again. And so what would you think is going on? Like,
I would think that maybe she has access during a certain time. Yeah. And then at other times, maybe she has no access to it.
Yeah. So I had all these kind of questions too. I thought it was exactly that. Yeah. Being houseless is going to cause you some issues with catching up and stuff. But it was nothing like that. It was the most beautiful pattern I'd ever seen in education. You know what was going on when she dropped? She was pausing her stuff and helping the other kids. Like, how powerful is that? And so that's purple, right? It was purple because that was impossible to see unless you ask or you think about, instead of just saying like, wow, it is what it is. And, I'll take that and learn. And what can we do better so that she doesn't like do this? But now it's like, how can we encourage more of that? And so that's an example of just finding those rare patterns where you change how you think and you lead differently as a result of that.
So that purple piece that you noticed with her, you asked her?
No, one of our other kumu asked, because I wasn't the daily kumu. So the other kumu figured out like that was what was going on. And I had not expected that.
Did you talk to her about it?
I did not talk to her about that. So what ended up happening was we lost her that semester. It was like one of the best stories ever and then one of the worst. And so she thrived for that class, built 2 games, and then she wanted to go to HPA on Hawaii Island. They have like advanced computer science. And so all the kids from like Punahou and Iolani, Kamehameha were going. So she applies, she gets in and kills it. We were told that she was like the life of the group, the soul. And then after that experience, that was Nalukai. Comes back to Maui and her mom pulls her out of school and says, this is not the right path for you. And so she left school. And the principal of the school tried to find her. And I heard from Donovan a couple weeks ago that they might have located her, but I have not talked to her since. But in some ways, that's also our vision for Purple Maiʻa. Like, you have to be realistic. So we know that we've got our kids for like this really small time. And Maiʻa is banana in Hawaiian. So if you listen to like Olin no ia, banana, unlike other leaves or unlike most leaves, they point down. And so in Hawaiian sort of wisdom, they represent listening to the earth, like listening deeply. And Maiʻa also, Hawaiian men in the past, they've prevented women from eating Maiʻa or bananas, except for the iholena variety, which was like this purple variety. So the women could eat that. And we saw that as a really good analogy for tech. Like we think it should be for everybody. So Maiʻa also is about listening. But then Maiʻa also has a purple flower. And so if you know about banana trees, they're clones. And so when the flower comes out, the tree is basically dead and that banana hood will come out after. So that's the stage we get of them. So we have them for this delicate purple stage and that's it. But then maybe that's enough. Then they can figure out their home banana hood. And so I have faith that our connection with her for 1 semester was enough. It has to be.
So Purple Maiʻa, maybe if as people are listening in or watching this that may not be familiar, how would you explain it?
So 10 years ago, I was carving poi boards with Donovan. Then we start talking, and we find out that there's only 3 high schools, public high schools in the entire state a decade ago that offered anything beyond like an intro to computer science. And so we keep talking about diversifying the economy, and yet our kids don't have that access. So we didn't think that was right. And so we started at Purple Maiʻa to address that. How do we get computer science into public schools in the most underserved communities, but then root it in Hawaiian culture? Because we didn't think that you should do computer science just to do computer science. You should do it in support of your culture, in honor of your culture, and in an extension of your culture, because you're part of this chain. And so you don't just take what your kupuna passed on and replicate it, but you take that because it's your kuleana to work it and see what you do next and move on, because, you know, that progression. So that was Purple Maiʻa's initial concept. And so we've grown statewide to do just that with kids, semester-long computer science engineering. So, you know, building hardware, building software, games, like whatever the kids want. And it's all rooted in Hawaiian culture. Like, for example, if you want to teach a kid about a circuit board, you can take them to a lo'i. Like that water system has the same analogy to the electrical system. You got transistors, resistors, capacitors, batteries, flowing electrons on the circuit side, but you have vai, that water that flows. And so you got lo'i that you flow down from the stream, you store it, speed it up, you gate it, you open it up.
And lo'i is a taro patch.
A taro patch, right? So that analogy is perfect.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.